For those who don't know, our guest is a Maryland MMA pioneer. He's the founder of both the Ground Control Academy as well as Shogun Fights. So for the first time, I want to bring him on to talk a little bit about what he's doing and also these fights coming up this weekend. So let's bring him on. Mr. Rallo, John Rallo, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh,
hey,
man,
John.
Great. Glad to have you on.
Big John.
Hey, guys. Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Let's just jump right into it. You're credited as being the pioneer who fought to get MMA legalized in the state of Maryland. For our listeners out there who don't know the story, could you briefly just take us through that process? How did you get it done to bring MMA into Maryland? Because, a lot of states, it's not sanctioned. So what was that like?
Sure. Yeah, basically, I've been, involved in the sport since the 90s. I started training back in 98. I went to the athletic commission here to try to find out what would they want somebody, what do they need to feel comfortable to say that they would allow the sport to be regulated here? Because obviously if we went to the state to ask them to legalize it and the athletic commission wasn't backing us, we wouldn't have got very far. So I met with Pat Piniella. Basically he said, told me some of the things that they would try to do, which obviously were 90% safety of, related for the fighters. And then I went to a good friend of mine, Nick Lembo, who's the New Jersey attorney for the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board. And Nick, is instrumental. I mean, he's one of the authors of the Unified Rules, which basically everybody uses to fight under. Mm-hmm. And he had tons of, research for me, including a study that Johns Hopkins did on the safety of MMA versus other contact sports, and combat sports, boxing, football, and, mixed martial arts actually was the least, violent of all the sports as far as traumatic brain injury and injuries per fight in general. The majority of injuries in mixed martial arts competitions were normally, cuts, superficial, little things that you would get versus, ACL tears and the concussions and things that the other people get. So, we got our ducks in a row. I actually got with a law firm because we had to hire lobbyists. And, the lobbyist went down to Annapolis. We used a company called Gordon Feinblatt. It was Ed Hitchcock and Tim Perry were the lawyers that we worked with. And, then we started to approach people in Annapolis. We got Senator Joan Carter Conway to come on as a sponsor. She actually came to Ground Control, watched us practice, watched some videos of some of my guys fighting up in Atlantic City and stuff like that. And she was like, I don't understand why this isn't legal here. She got on as a sponsor of the bill. Then I had, at the time, Fox 45 was doing a cover story on me. And one of the delegates in Montgomery County, Kirill Resnick, heard the commercial on the radio. And then he had his assistant contact us, and he wanted to get involved. And he basically sponsored our bill on the House side, on the delegate side. So we had two bills in. You need one of them to pass to be made into law. We got to testify before the Senate and the House of Delegates. I had to go down to Annapolis and speak, and it went well. Both bills passed.
How long of a process was the entire thing from start to finish when you started, to try to get involved?
You'd be surprised, because I got it done in one session.
Okay.
Once the things moved, it really went moving. But, the advice I give to people, if there's people in other states trying to get this done, do your homework, get it done before you have to speak, before the Senate and the House.
Yeah.
Because 9 out of 10 times, their minds are made up already. So what we were able to do with the lobbyists was take the information. I was down in Annapolis, and when I would meet these people, I would hand them, the Hopkins study. I would tell them, if you have any questions, any reservations, please call me. Because when you really go down there to Annapolis and speak, you get 2-3 minutes to give your speech, then they'll ask you questions. They're never going to make their mind up or get all the information in that short period of time. So you really have to go and do your legwork ahead of time. That way their questions are already answered. And usually if somebody's asking you a negative question there, it's a person who's against you anyway. So, we got them both passed they were overwhelmingly passed. And, in May was when, January, is when everybody's in session, January and February. the General Assembly's doing their thing. Then in May was the actual signing of the bill, which they invited me down for, so I got my picture taken with the governor and everybody else. And then October is when the law itself actually went into effect. So you figure from the time we got all the lobbying done, up to that point, you're basically at least a year in. And then once the law was made, then they had to make the rules and regulations, and they have to be ratified. So it took another year. It was October of 2009 before we actually did our first, show. But it was like October of 2008 is when the law went into effect, and we probably started the process, the summer, beforehand is when we started to talk to, all our politicians and start trying to get things organized.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question, because, you pretty much have committed yourself to the sport, giving your life to the sport, so to speak. We hear that you started out as Tommy Lee's bodyguard. So, what inspired you to, kind of dedicate your life to MMA and open Ground Control Academy?
I definitely worked. I worked with Tommy for a few years, but I was already into MMA at that point, and I already had Ground Control started and all that stuff. So, Tommy kind of came in the process of, and then as the school blew up so much, and what really happened that got me into the Tommy thing, I had torn my ACL. So once I tore my ACL, I had stopped fighting competitively, not because of the injury, because my knee's fine. I could have went back and did what I wanted to do, but you got that year where you're rehabbing, where you're coming back, and in that time I focused. I had a choice. Do I want to continue to try to fight, which at the time I'm fighting, the money's not like it is now. It's not as it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. Mm-hmm. Or do I focus on the business, which would pay me residually? I started the sport late. I was played football and all that nonsense. I didn't even start training jiu-jitsu until I was 29 years old. So at the time I tore my ACL, I'm already in my mid-30s. And at that point, hey, do I want to make a career of this? If so, do I roll the dice and try to make it as a fighter? Or when I moved, my school, I had maybe 40 people in a club. We were in 1,000 square foot spot. When I hurt my knee and I started focus on the business more, all of a sudden I moved into a 3,500 square foot spot, and in a matter of 6 to 8 months, I went from 40 people to 140 people. So, the fact that I was there and I was able to...
Yemenis.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it made a huge difference. So then I'm looking, going, well, hell, this school pays me every month. Fighting pays you when you fight. And bodyguarding I kind of got into in the process.
Gotcha, it makes sense. Well, for our listeners out there, tell us about Shogun Fights VIII coming up this weekend. How great would that be? What's it going to look like?
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, guys, and I'll tell everybody, I think we're the best regional show in the country, and I'm talking from a crowd standpoint. We get over 5,000 people to come to First Mariner Arena, which is the premier venue in Maryland. I mean, if Jay-Z's coming here, that's where he plays. If Beyonce's played there, the Bruce Springsteen's played there, so it's a true arena. So it gives regional fighters in the area the opportunity to come and fight in front of a 5,000, 6,000 person crowd. We've worked out with Comcast Sportsnet where they'll air the show. We create 2 one-hour shows out of each show. We pick the best fights and make 2 1-hour, unique TV shows out of it. And, they play them, and they play them in the whole Mid-Atlantic region, which is Virginia, D.C., Maryland, Delaware, and up into Philly. And then they also show it in the North Midwest. I don't know what technically you want to call it, but it's Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Iowa. So total right now, subscribers in those 2 areas, the show will touch almost 10 million homes, 9.6 million people. And if you have a satellite and you buy the sports package, you get all of those channels. So I've had buddies call me from California, from North Carolina, from New Mexico, Shogun's on. So, for me, I look at it as a AAA, like a feeder system where you're going to see, people. We've sent 4 people to the UFC. We've sent double digits to Bellator. And on this card, I probably have like 3 or 4 Bellator vets that are fighting on the card.
Right. We can definitely attest to that because we covered the Shogun Fights VIII at First Mariner Arena.
Oh,
and that was a great event. Like you said,
the
crowd was there and they were excited. And regionally, it was the largest one that we'd been to, in the Maryland region. And I found out after the fact that it was going to be broadcast on, I don't want to say the wrong channel here and give people, was it Comcast Sportsnet or was it?
Yes, sir. Yep, Comcast Sportsnet airs it.
Right. I found out after the fact, so I didn't get to re-watch it, but I'll definitely watch it this time after we cover Shogun 8.
Yeah. Definitely was an amazing experience at 7. We will be there at 8 as well. For our audience out there, again, just let them know exactly where they can come to check it out. It's at the First Mariner Arena.
I'm sorry. The show's at First Mariner Arena in Baltimore. You can get tickets through Ticketmaster, or you can get them on our website, which is shogunfights.com. You can walk up the day of if you're here local and get your tickets at the First Mariner Arena box office. The show itself, again, I think you're going to see. I always kind of say the stars of tomorrow. This show is a historic in Maryland mixed martial arts history because it's the first time women have fought professionally in the state of Maryland. So we have Rosanna Garcia from Gaithersburg. Evolve Academy is coming up to fight Gabby Holloway. Gabby's from Culpeper, Virginia. And, for MMA fans, Gabby Invicta actually called Gabby to come and fight for them, but they were already under contract with us. So Invicta, is the premier women's organization in the world. That's where Cyborg fight now. Marlis Coons is fighting there now. Sarah Kaufman's fighting there now. All the women talent is fighting there except for the 135-pounders that the UFC has. So, if you're a woman, that's where you want to be. And the fact that they would call and, try to have Gabby come and fight just attests to her skill and ability.
Absolutely. John, we want to thank you for your time. We definitely want to try to get as many people out to this show as we can. But before we get you out of here, how can the people find you and your brand on the Internet?
Shogun is on the website at shogunfights.com. We have a Facebook page, which is Shogun Fights, and we're also on Twitter on @ShogunFights. And myself, I'm at JRallo44, so it's JRALLO 44. And, I never mind if people want to jump on and follow. I kind of feed some information out there. And we always have, good friends that are quoting, Henzo Gracie, Matt Serra, Tommy, Joe Rogan. All these guys are buddies of mine. And, they do a great job supporting us.
Absolutely. Thanks you for your time. And we'll definitely see you down there on Saturday. We'll come and support the event. But we appreciate the time you gave us, John.
Yeah, guys, thank you. Thanks for your support. And, without people such as yourself, we don't exist. So thanks for getting the word out.
All right.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Take care, John.
All right, guys, thank you.
All right, take care. John Rallo, everybody.
John Rallo.
Fight.
Sir, so y'all get down to First Mariner Arena in Baltimore on this Saturday on the 13th. The show starts at 7 p.m. And trust us, like I said, we were at Shogun Fights
weekend too.
Exactly. We were at Part 7, and it was a great event. So if you are in the area, Baltimore, D.C., and surrounding areas, and you're in the MMA, make sure you get down there. Plus, you'll see us down there. Holler at us if you see us. Make sure you holler at us.
Kuwait is the war room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.